Alrighty, guys, it is Monday, May 8th, 2023, and I'm now 4-0 with a push on my last $5.99 daily best plays on my website. And the good news is we have another $1.99 daily best play going off here today on patreon.com/BrockPage. And before we get into some more of that, just want to take a quick time out and welcome you to my Major League Baseball free pick video here today. Of course, my name is Brock Page. I've been dishing out free sports picks right here on YouTube since 2016. I also sell my personal sports bets on patreon.com/BrockPage. Once again, guys, I'm 4-0 with a push on my last $5.99 daily best plays on that website. Now, if you sign up for that membership here today, you're going to get access to that package for the next 30 days. The math works out to be just 6 cents a day if you sign up here for that package. And if you want to see a video breakdown of every single one of my personal sports bets, the only way to do that is to join my full access, all-inclusive chairman package. You get access to every single personal play of mine, every single package, every single day for the next 30 days. You also get access to my chairman podcast where I break down every single one of my plays in video format. Now, you may be wondering what the difference is between what I do here on YouTube and what I do on my website. Well, what I do here on YouTube is I'll handicap the entire slate of games in any given sport, side and total. And what I do on my website is I actually share with you which one of these free plays on these videos that I'm actually betting on personally. And with that, guys, let's go ahead and dive into some free content. We're going to take a look at the Tigers at the Guardians, 6:10 Eastern first pitch. Cleveland's the $1.95 favorite, total 7.5. Tanner Bybee for Cleveland, Joey Wentz for Detroit. Now, Joey Wentz is 0-3 on the season with an ERA of 6.67. This Detroit lineup's also dead last in run production on the road. They're facing Tanner Bybee on the other side of things, who's got 13 strikeouts and 0 walks through 11 innings. And no real surprise, Bybee's got a whip of just .91. Now, this Cleveland pitching staff as a whole, they're walking fewer batters per 9 than any other club in the game. When it comes to the injury report, Cabrera is questionable for Detroit. Carpenter's still out. Now, total-wise, 8 out of these teams' last 10 head-to-head meetings did fall under the number. The Guardians are 11-4 to the under at Progressive Field. Give me Cleveland -1.5, under 7. Next game, Rockies Pirates, 6:35 East. Pittsburgh's -1.75, totals 8.5. Mitch Keller for Pittsburgh, Kyle Freeland for Colorado. Now, Freeland's got 3 wins on the season with an ERA in the 3s. He also has a solid 1.10 whip. Now, as a team, the Rockies have won 6 out of their last 7. And they averaged over 8 runs a game in those victories. Elias Diaz is hitting .343 with 18 RBI. Meanwhile, C.J. Cron's leading the roster in homers. Now, they're facing a Pittsburgh team who lost 7 straight. And they allowed 44 total runs during that span. When it comes to offensive production, this Pirates lineup was held to just 2 runs or less in all of those ball games. Now, injury-wise, McCutchen's questionable for Pittsburgh. When it comes to the total, the Pirates saw 4 out of their last 7 against National League opponents at home stay under. Meanwhile, Colorado's 13-6 to the under as the official road team. Give me Colorado +1.5, under 8.5. Next game, little AL East action. I'm talking about the Rays at the O's, 6:35 Camden Yards. Tampa Bay's -1.70, totals 8.5. Shane McClanahan for Tampa Bay. Kyle Gibson for Baltimore. Now, Gibby's got an ERA in the 4s along with a 1.34 whip. Now, this Baltimore pitching staff's also in the bottom 10 in hits allowed. They're facing the best hitting lineup in baseball in Tampa Bay. Randy Arozarena's hitting .328 with 30 RBI. He's actually in the top 10 in the majors in batting average, home runs, runs batted in, and OPS. And speaking of OPS, Yandy Diaz is third in the bigs with a 1.040 OPS. And even if the bats struggle, Tampa's got Shane O'Mac on the bump, who's 6-0 with a 2.03 ERA. Now, injury-wise, Austin Hayes is questionable for the O's. When it comes to the total, Baltimore's 21-13 to the over for the entire season. Meanwhile, Tampa saw 9 out of their last 13 road games get over the total themselves. Give me Tampa Bay minus 170 over 8.5. Next game, A's Yankees 7:05 East. New York's minus $2, totals 8.5. Nestor Cortez for New York, J.P. Sears for Oakland. Now, Sears has 34 strikeouts in just 32 innings of work. He also has a solid 1.19 whip. Believe it or not, the A's are a top 10 run-producing team on the road. Brent Rooker's hitting .319 and leads the majors in OPS. Rooker's 10 home runs also ranks 5th in the majors. Now he's going to have to face Nestor Cortez, who has an ERA scary close to 5. Now the Yankees also may have the worst hitting lineup in baseball. These guys are dead last in hits per 9 at the dish. Now injury-wise, Donaldson, Stanton, and Judge are still out. When it comes to the total, the Bombers are 15-4 to the under at Yankee Stadium. They also went 7-3 to the under in their last 10 at any location. Give me Oakland plus 1.5, under 8.5. Next game, White Sox, Royals, 7:40 Eastern first pitch. Chicago's minus $130, totals 8.5. Dylan Cease for Chicago, Zach Greinke for Kansas City. Now, Greinke's 1-4 in the season with an ERA in the 5s. The Royals have also won just 3 games at Kauffman Stadium this year. They're pitiful 3-16 in front of their own fans. They're going to have to face Dylan Cease, who's got 43 strikeouts in just 35 plus. And as a team, the Sox did get the W in 5 out of their last 7. Andrew Vaughn's the club leader in runs batted in. Luis Robert has the team lead in home runs. When it comes to the injury report, Moncada, Jimenez, Berger, and Gonzalez, they are all still out for Chicago. Lopez, Isabel, and Waters are inactive for KC. When it comes to the total, Kansas City's 4-3 to the under in their last 7 divisional games. Meanwhile, Chicago saw 9 out of their last 13 road games against American League opponents stay under the total themselves. Give me Chicago minus 130, under 8.5. Next game, Dodgers, Brewers, 7:40 p.m. East. Both teams are minus $110, totals 8.5. Tony Gonsolin for Los Angeles, Freddie Peralta for Milwaukee. Now, Freddie's got 3 wins on the year and 41 strikeouts through 34 plus. This Milwaukee pitching staff's allowing just 3.5 runs a game in their own building. They're facing a Dodger club who averages fewer road hits a game than any other franchise besides one. And no real surprise here, guys. The Dodgers are in the bottom 5 in strikeouts at the plate. Now, injury-wise, JD Martinez is out for Los Angeles. When it comes to the total, LA's 11-6 to the over when they bat first. They also saw 7 out of their last 10 meetings with Milwaukee get over the total. So if you're into historical trends, plenty of overs to go around. Give me the Brewers minus $110, over 8.5. Next game, Cardinals, Cubs, 7:40 East. Chicago's minus $150, total 7. Marcus Stroman for the Cubs, Miles Mikolas for St. Louis. Now, Mikolas has just 1 win on the year with an ERA of 5.79. This Cards pitching staff also allows more hits a game than any other team in the National League. They're facing a Chicago team who has a top 3 hitting lineup. Patrick Wisdom's second in the bigs in homers. Meanwhile, Horner, Happ, and Bellinger, they're all hitting in the 300s. And even if they struggle at the plate, Marcus Stroman, he's pitching today. And he's got an ERA of 2.18, along with a 1.09 whip. Now, injury-wise, Gomes is still out for Chicago. O'Neal's still out for St. Louis. When it comes to the total, the Cards are 11-5 to the under as the official road team. They also saw 6 out of their last 10 against Chicago stay under the total. So once again, if you're into historical trends, certainly want to think about that one there. Give me the Cubs minus 150, under 7. Next game, Astros, Angels, 9:38 Eastern first pitch. Houston's minus $120, totals 8.5. Hunter Brown for the Stros, Patty Sandoval for Los Angeles. And if Houston can get to this LA bullpen, it could mean trouble for Angels backers. Their pitching staff's in the bottom 10 in hits allowed at home. certainly having a tough time at Angel Stadium. And in addition to that, they're also in the bottom 5 in the American League in runs allowed on their own diamond. Now they're facing a Houston lineup on the other side of things who averages nearly double-digit hits a game on the road. And of course, when you mention this lineup, you mention offensive production, you got to mention Yordan Alvarez, who's third in the bigs with 31 runs batted in. Meanwhile, Mauricio Dubon's the team's leader in batting average. And even if the Stros struggle at the dish, they're in good hands with Hunter Brown on the bump. He's got 36 strikeouts and just 34 plus with an ERA in the 2s. Now, injury-wise, Brantley, Altuve, and McCormick are still out for the Astros. Meanwhile, on the other side of things, Stassi, Walsh, and O'Hop, they're sitting out for LA. When it comes to the scoring, the Angels saw 5 out of their last 7 divisional home games get over the total. Meanwhile, Houston's 10-3 to the over against the American League on the road. Give me Houston minus $120, over 8.5. Next contest, it is going to be Marlins at the Diamondbacks, 9:40 Eastern first pitch. Arizona's minus 215, totals 8.5. Zach Gallen for Arizona, Braxton Garrett for Miami. Now, Garrett's got just 1 win on the season with a 5.81 ERA. And even if Garrett has a good showing here today, these Miami hitters are scoring just 3.2 runs a game. They're facing Zach Gallen on the mound for Arizona, and he's got a .82 whip. The D-backs also have a top 3 hitting lineup at home. Corbin Carroll's hitting .315 at the dish. Meanwhile, Perdomo and Gurriel, they're hitting in the 300s as well. Now, injury-wise, Kelly and Lewis are both still out for the D-backs. Meanwhile, Wendell and Cooper are out for Miami. And when it comes to the number, the Marlins saw 63% of their road games get over the total. Meanwhile, Arizona's 64% of the over against National League opponents at Chase Field. Give me the Diamondbacks minus 1.5, over 8.5. Next ball game, Rangers, Mariners, 9:40 Eastern first pitch. Seattle's minus $1.60, total 7.5. Logan Gilbert for Seattle, John Gray for Texas. Now, Johnny Gray has just 1 loss on the season, as these Texas pitchers give up just 3.9 runs a game on the road. And when it comes to offensive production, no one's scoring more runs per contest than this Ranger lineup. Jonah Heim's hitting .313 and ranks in the top 10 in the American League in runs batted in. Meanwhile, Dallas Garcia has more ribbies than any other player in the bigs. Now they're facing Logan Gilbert, who has just 1 win on the year, along with an ERA in the 4s. Now, these Seattle hitters are also averaging fewer hits a game at the plate than any other franchise except for one. And when it comes to the injury report, Moore is out for the M's, Seager and Garver still out for Texas. Now, total-wise, 6 out of the Rangers' last 10 meetings with Seattle stayed under the total. So once again, historical trend, plenty of unders to go around. Seattle also went 60% to the under in their last 10 themselves. Give me the Rangers plus 1.5, under 7.5. And with that, guys, we're going to jump into our next and final breakdown for the video. It's going to be in the Nationals-Giants game, 9:45 San Francisco. The Giants are the $2.20 favorite. Total's 8.5. Anthony DeSclafani for San Francisco. Jake Irvin for Washington. Now, Irvin's got a 2.08 ERA through very limited action. These Nats pitchers have also done a real nice job on the road. They're allowing only 3.8 runs a game away from the Capitol. They're facing a Giants lineup who strikes out more times a game than any other club in the majors. When it comes to offensive production, these guys are in the bottom 5 of the National League in run production at home. Now, injury-wise, Crawford, Ruff, Yastrzemski, and Johnson, they're all still out for the Giants. Meanwhile, for Washington, Dickerson, Kieboom, and Pineda, they're still on the bench for them. Now, total-wise, the Nats went 60% to the under in their last 10 ball games. Meanwhile, San Fran's 11-8 to the under against National League opponents this year. Give me the Nationals plus 1.5, under 8.5. And with that, guys, now it's time for our quick pick recap. Give me Cleveland minus 1.5, under 7. Colorado plus 1.5, under 8.5. Tampa Bay minus 170, over 8.5 runs. Oakland A's plus 1.5, under 8.5 runs. Chicago White Sox minus 130, under 8.5 runs. Milwaukee minus $1.10, over 8.5 runs. Chicago Cubs minus 150, under 7. Houston minus $1.20, over 8.5 runs. Arizona minus 1.5, over 8.5 runs. Texas plus 1.5, under 7.5. With my next and final free pick for the video, give me Washington plus 1.5, under 8.5 runs.